The hunting knife trembled in Vera's hand as dozens of enormous wolves closed around her lonely campfire. Their glowing eyes formed an unbroken circle, leaving no path of escape. Then the pack silently parted, and a black wolf larger than any creature she had ever seen stepped into the light. Its golden eyes fixed on her bruised face as it moved close enough to kill her. But instead of attacking, the beast lowered its head and did something Vera could not explain. Chapter 1. The Plain Daughter. You are special, Vera. Never allow yourself to forget that. Her grandmother had whispered those words every night before Vera fell asleep, gently stroking her hair with weathered hands that carried the scent of lavender and promises made long ago. But being born in Omega in a world that worshipped alphas taught Vera a very different lesson. When even her own family treated her like a flaw that needed to be concealed, she learned that special was often just a gentler word for broken. Vera Ashwood would discover that truth in the cruelest way imaginable. She would find herself alone beneath the stars, abandoned in the dark mountains by everyone she had ever loved, waiting for death to reach her. She had no idea that when death finally appeared, it would have golden eyes, dagger-like teeth, and the power to change the course of her life. The Ashwood pack did not celebrate Vera's birth. No joyful howls echoed across the valley. No feast was prepared to welcome the Alpha's newest child. Instead, a suffocating silence filled the main lodge, the kind of silence that belonged at a funeral rather than a birth. Her mother, Luna Catherine Ashwood, had endured 14 hours of labor while the pack's midwives surrounded her bed and murmured prayers to the moon goddess. Everyone had expected another Alpha child, another powerful heir, another golden daughter who would strengthen the Ashwood bloodline. Instead, they received Vera. Small, weak, Omega. Vera understood that she was a disappointment long before she was old enough to understand what disappointment meant. Her older sister, Aurora, was proudly displayed at every pack gathering. Her alpha presence was so powerful that visiting wolves often lowered their heads when she entered a room. Her beauty was praised, her opinions were encouraged, and every achievement was celebrated. Vera remained behind her, hidden, ignored, a shameful secret wearing the Ashwood name. "Stand properly, Vera," her mother would hiss during formal dinners, digging perfectly manicured nails into Vera's shoulder. "At least make an effort to look presentable." Aurora would laugh, the sound light and beautiful, like delicate wind chimes. "Leave her alone, Mother. It isn't as though anyone is looking at her." The most painful part was that Aurora was right. By 17, Vera had mastered the art of disappearing while standing in plain sight. She dressed in gray, brown, and other muted colors that allowed her to fade into the lodge's wooden walls. Her honey blonde hair was always pulled into a simple braid, never styled in the elaborate curls Aurora wore down her back. At crowded gatherings, Vera kept her shoulders lowered and occupied as little space as possible. She wore scent blockers every day to conceal the natural fragrance of her Omega wolf, a soft mixture of rain and wild chamomile. Omega scent could attract attention. And attention, Vera had learned, was rarely safe. "You should consider yourself fortunate that Father allows you to attend these events," Aurora had once told her while applying crimson lipstick in the mirror they were supposed to share. In reality, Aurora had claimed the mirror years ago. Vera was only permitted to use it when her sister was absent. "Father wanted to move you into the Omega quarters," Aurora continued. "I persuaded him to let you remain in the family wing. You ought to thank me." Vera never did. She knew Aurora had not kept her nearby out of affection. Aurora needed a comparison. Standing beside Vera made her appear even more beautiful, more powerful, and more deserving of admiration. The Ashwood territory stretched across the northern mountains, covering miles of dense pine forest and jagged stone peaks. The land had belonged to their bloodline for 7 generations. At the center of the territory stood the Pack Lodge, an enormous structure built from ancient timber and dark stone. The Alpha family occupied the entire 3rd floor. Vera's room was at the far end of the hall near the servants' staircase. It was barely larger than a storage closet. Aurora's suite was 4 times its size, with tall windows that overlooked the valley. "You have no need for a large room," her mother had said when Vera was 12 and servants carried her belongings into the smaller chamber. "You will not inherit anything. This arrangement is only temporary until you are placed." Placed. It was the word every Omega feared. In traditional werewolf society, Omegas were not treated as independent people. They were valuable assets, offered in marriage to strengthen alliances, or presented to influential alphas as mates. Their wishes did not matter. They had no real voice. The moon goddess had supposedly cursed them with a biology that left them vulnerable during their heats, feverish, dependent, and desperate for relief. Vera had survived her first heat 6 months earlier. For 3 days, she had remained locked inside her tiny room, burning with fever and pain. The desperate need inside her body became so intense that she wanted to tear at her own skin. She had buried her face in a pillow and bitten down to silence every whimper. No one came. Not her mother, not Aurora, not even her father. When the heat finally ended, Vera emerged pale, weak, and trembling. Her father immediately summoned her to his study. Alpha Richard Ashwood was a towering man, nearly 6.5 feet tall, with broad shoulders and dark hair streaked with silver. His presence filled every room with suffocating authority. When his steel-gray eyes settled on Vera, they held only disappointment. "You are of age now," he had said without greeting her. "I have received 3 offers for your hand. 2 came from neighboring packs. The 3rd came from the Crescent Valley pack in the south." Vera felt her heart drop. "Father, You will not speak unless I ask you a question." His voice was colder than winter stone. "I will examine the offers over the coming months. You will be given to whichever alliance provides the greatest benefit to the Ashwood pack. Do you understand?" Her throat tightened, but she nodded. "You are dismissed." That conversation had taken place 2 months ago. Since then, Vera had lived beneath a constant shadow of dread. Every day brought her closer to the moment when her father would choose the stranger who would control the rest of her life. Everything changed during the Harvest Moon Festival. It was the largest celebration of the year, when packs from across the northern region gathered to honor the moon goddess and reinforce political alliances. That year, the Ashwood pack hosted the festival. The lodge filled with visiting alphas, betas, dignitaries, and several omegas from distant territories. Aurora wore a breathtaking emerald gown and spent the evening surrounded by important guests. Vera was assigned to serve them. She wore a plain servant's dress and moved through the crowded great hall carrying trays of wine. More. An alpha from the Riverside pack pushed his empty glass toward her without bothering to meet her eyes. "Yes, sir." Vera quietly refilled it. As she approached the kitchen doors, Aurora's laughter rose above the music. Vera glanced across the hall and immediately felt something tighten in her chest. Aurora was standing with Damon Blackthorn, alpha of the most powerful pack in the region. He was strikingly handsome, tall and lean, with dark hair and severe features that looked carved from marble, but his eyes were what people remembered. They were an intense ice blue, sharp enough to hold a wolf motionless with a single glance. Aurora had openly pursued Damon for months. Everyone knew she wanted to become Luna of the Blackthorn pack. The title would bring her more power and prestige than any other match in the Northern Territories. "She is going to get exactly what she wants," another servant whispered beside Vera. "Look at him. He cannot stop watching her." It was true. Damon's attention remained fixed on Aurora. His expression was difficult to interpret. Perhaps fascination, perhaps interest. A sharp ache passed through Vera's chest. It was not jealousy over Damon. She longed for what Aurora possessed. Freedom, choice, the right to pursue someone she desired instead of being traded to a stranger like livestock. "You." Vera flinched. An older beta woman stood beside her, glaring. Stop staring and bring more appetizers to the high table, immediately. Yes, ma'am. Vera hurried toward the kitchen with her head lowered. She was so focused on remaining unnoticed that she failed to see someone step backward into her path. Vera collided with them. The tray flew from her hands. Glasses shattered across the stone floor. Red wine splashed over an expensive gown. Vera stared in horror. She had spilled an entire tray of drinks on Aurora. Watch where you are walking. Aurora stood in front of her, her emerald gown stained dark red. Rage distorted her beautiful face. The entire hall fell silent. Every guest turned to watch. You clumsy, worthless. Aurora's hand rose. The slap cracked through the hall. Vera's head snapped sideways. Pain exploded across her cheek. Aurora. Their mother rushed forward, her face pale. But Catherine did not move to protect Vera. Her eyes darted toward the assembled dignitaries, horrified that so many influential wolves had witnessed the family's humiliation. Take her out of here, Catherine ordered. Now. 2 servants seized Vera by the arms and dragged her toward a side exit. Through blurred vision, Vera looked back one final time. Several alphas were comforting Aurora. Her mother was apologizing repeatedly to Damon Blackthorne. Her father stood beside them, staring at Vera with naked disgust. She had humiliated the Ashwood Pack before the entire northern region. Vera knew she had crossed a line her family would never forgive. Chapter 2. The Punishment. The servants threw Vera into her room as though she were refuse. She struck the floor hard, scraping both palms against the rough wooden boards. The door slammed. A lock turned from the outside. They had imprisoned her. Vera slowly pushed herself upright. Her cheek still burned from Aurora's slap. Her hands trembled, and the pressure inside her chest made it difficult to breathe. She had ruined the festival. The celebration was meant to display the Ashwood Pack's strength, wealth, and hospitality. Instead, Vera had made them appear careless and weak. She sat on her narrow bed and pulled her knees against her chest. Music and laughter continued below, muffled by the floorboards. The festival went on without her. Life continued as though she had never existed. Hours passed. Eventually, the music faded. Footsteps echoed through the corridors as visitors retired for the night. Vera remained awake in the darkness. She knew her father would come. He always came after she disappointed him. The lock opened shortly after midnight. Alpha Richard Ashwood filled the doorway, his massive figure outlined by the torches in the hall. He did not immediately enter. He simply stared at her with cold gray eyes. Do you understand what you have done? His voice was quiet. Dangerously quiet. Vera's throat tightened. Father, I am sorry. I never meant. Damon Blackthorne intended to announce his courtship of Aurora tonight. Each word was delivered with careful precision. He planned to declare his intentions before every regional alpha. Do you understand what an alliance with the Blackthorne Pack would mean for us? Vera's stomach twisted. I did not know. Of course you did not know. You never consider anything beyond your own clumsiness and inadequacy. He stepped into the room. Vera instinctively pressed herself against the wall. After your spectacle, Damon left the lodge. He did not even finish his wine. He said he needed to reconsider certain matters. No, the word escaped her in a whisper. Aurora is devastated. Your mother has been humiliated. And I. Richard drew a slow breath, visibly restraining his anger. I have shown you far too much leniency, Vera. I allowed you to remain in this house. I permitted you to eat at our table and carry our name despite what you are. Despite what she was. Omega. Defective. Broken. I made a decision tonight, Richard continued. I am accepting the Crescent Valley Pack's offer. Alpha Garrett's son requires a mate. You will leave with their delegation at dawn. The room seemed to tilt. At dawn? Father, please. You should be grateful. Garrett has been extremely generous considering his son's condition. A training accident left the young man scarred and partially blind. No respectable Omega will accept him. Richard's mouth curved into a cruel smile. But you are not respectable, are you? You are a stain on this family. Tomorrow, you become someone else's burden. Tears burned Vera's eyes, but she refused to allow them to fall. You will be prepared at first light. Take only what you can carry. Everything else remains here. Richard turned toward the door, then paused. And Vera, do not trouble yourself by saying goodbye. No one wishes to see you. The door shut. The lock clicked again. Vera sat motionless. Tomorrow. Dawn. Gone. She would be transported to an unfamiliar pack and married to a man she had never met, a man even other Omegas had refused. She would be expected to serve him, produce heirs, and pretend gratitude for the rest of her life. Unless she ran. The thought arrived quietly. Then it sharpened into certainty. Vera rose from the bed. She could not allow her family to sell her. She could not spend her life as someone's unwanted possession. If everyone already believed she was broken and worthless, then she would rather be broken on her own terms. She moved quickly and silently. Her bedroom window was narrow, but Vera was small enough to fit through it. She pulled a canvas bag from beneath her bed and packed spare clothes, a water canteen, matches, and the hunting knife her grandmother had given her years earlier. It was not enough to survive for long. It would have to be enough for tonight. The lodge had grown silent. Nearly everyone was sleeping after the festival. Vera opened her window, wincing when the hinges creaked. Cold mountain air rushed inside, carrying pine, wet stone, and distant rain. She was 3 floors above the ground. Jumping would likely break both legs. A drain pipe ran down the outer wall several feet to the left. If she could reach it, she might be able to climb to safety. Vera stepped onto the windowsill with the bag secured across her back. Do not look down. She stretched toward the pipe. Her fingertips barely touched the metal. Almost. She shifted her weight farther outside, found the pipe, and wrapped both hands around it. Her feet scraped against the stone wall until she found a narrow ledge. The pipe groaned. Vera began descending inch by inch. Her heart pounded so violently that she feared it would wake the lodge. Halfway down, her foot slipped. She bit back a scream as her body dropped several feet. The rough metal tore into her palms, but she managed to stop herself. She clung to the pipe, breathing in short, terrified gasps. Just breathe. Keep moving. When her feet finally touched the ground, Vera collapsed into a crouch. The lodge remained dark. The eastern borders were guarded by patrol wolves who ran the perimeter throughout the night. She could not escape that way. Her only option was to travel deeper into the mountains, into unclaimed territory, into lands occupied by rogues, predators, and wild wolf packs that obeyed no alpha. Everyone knew those mountains were deadly. Werewolves entered them only when they had nothing left to live for. Vera had no other path. She ran. The forest swallowed her within minutes. Trees closed around her like prison bars. She had no destination and no plan beyond getting away. Away from the lodge. Away from her father. Away from the future they had selected for her. Her Omega wolf whimpered inside her mind, frightened by the unfamiliar darkness. Vera ignored the fear and continued running. She ran until her lungs burned. Until every muscle in her legs screamed. Until the lodge and its territory lay far behind her. When she finally collapsed, she had traveled deep into a part of the mountains she did not recognize. Vera leaned against a tree, struggling for breath. Blood coated her palms from the drainpipe. Her cheek remained swollen from Aurora's blow. She stood alone in the wilderness with almost no supplies, and she had never felt freer. The realization pulled a broken laugh from her throat. Free. She was finally free, even if freedom killed her. Vera found a small clearing and decided to camp until sunrise. Moving blindly through the darkness could send her over a cliff or leave her with a broken ankle. She collected fallen branches and managed to start a small fire despite her shaking hands. The flames pushed back the darkness, creating a fragile circle of warmth. Vera sat close to the fire and pulled her jacket around herself. The forest was alive with sound, Leaves rustled, birds called in the distance, wind whispered through the pine branches. Then her wolf noticed something beneath those ordinary sounds. Footsteps. Number. Paw steps. Vera's blood turned cold. She slowly stood and drew her grandmother's hunting knife. The fire snapped beside her, throwing restless shadows across the trees. Then, Vera saw the eyes. Dozens of glowing eyes surrounded the clearing. Wolves emerged from the darkness. They were not werewolves in shifted form, or at least they did not appear to be. They looked like pure wild wolves, but they were far larger than any natural animal Vera had ever seen. Their shoulders reached her waist, white teeth gleamed in the firelight. They had formed a perfect circle around her camp. The knife in Vera's hand suddenly felt useless. The wolves did not attack. They remained still, watching her, waiting. Then the circle opened. Something much larger moved between them. Vera stopped breathing as a black wolf stepped into the firelight. The creature was the size of a small horse. Its fur was so dark that it seemed to swallow the light. Its eyes were brilliant gold. Not animal eyes, intelligent eyes. Eyes that appeared to look directly through her. This was no ordinary wolf. This was an alpha. It tilted its head slightly, studying her. Vera knew she should run. She should shift, fight, or at least raise the knife. She could do none of those things. The black wolf moved closer. One step, then another. Soon it stood near enough for Vera to feel the heat radiating from its enormous body. She could see the slow movement of its powerful chest. One strike from its paw could kill her. The wolf lowered its head and began to smell her. Vera remained perfectly still. Every instinct demanded that she flee, but the surrounding pack had sealed every possible escape. The black wolf's nose moved from her feet toward her face, taking in the scent of rain and chamomile beneath her blockers. Then it pressed its enormous head against her chest. Gently, almost affectionately. Vera's heart stopped. The surrounding wolves began to move. They approached her without aggression, gathering close until Vera stood in the center of fur, muscle, and living warmth. They were not threatening her. They were protecting her. The black wolf drew back and looked into her eyes. Vera thought she saw recognition there, understanding, as though the creature knew exactly what she was escaping. It turned and walked toward the trees. At the edge of the clearing, the wolf stopped and looked over its shoulder. It waited. The gesture carried an unmistakable invitation. Come with us. You are safe here. Vera's rational mind screamed that following wild wolves deeper into the mountains was madness. But her omega wolf, silent and suppressed for most of her life, suddenly stirred with contentment. Pack, it whispered. This is pack. The black wolf continued waiting. Vera had nowhere else to go and nothing left to lose. She put away the knife. Then she followed. Chapter 3. The Wild Pack. The wolves traveled through the forest like living shadows. Vera struggled to match their speed. In human form, she was awkward beside their effortless grace. Branches caught her clothing, and roots threatened to trip her with every step. The black wolf never allowed the pack to leave her behind. Every few minutes, it stopped and waited for her to catch up. Its golden eyes remained patient and strangely aware. The other wolves maintained a protective formation around her. Some moved ahead, others behind, while several guarded both sides. They treated her as though she were precious. It made no sense. Wild wolves did not protect humans. They certainly did not protect werewolves. But Vera was beginning to understand that these creatures were not ordinary wolves. They climbed higher into the mountains, following paths so narrow that they were almost invisible. The air became colder and thinner. Vera's lungs burned, but she kept going. Returning meant facing her father's fury and being taken to Crescent Valley as damaged merchandise. This journey might be madness. At least it was madness she had chosen. After what seemed like hours, the pack crossed a narrow mountain passage and entered a hidden valley. Vera stopped in astonishment. Two towering peaks concealed the valley from the outside world. A clear river flowed through its center, fed by waterfalls that descended from the cliffs. Pine trees grew thick and tall, filtering the moonlight into silver beams. Caves dotted the valley walls. At the center stood something that made Vera's mouth fall open. A massive den had been constructed within the hillside. Ancient stones framed its entrance, arranged with unmistakable intention. This was not merely wilderness. It was a home. The black wolf led her toward it. As they approached, more wolves emerged from the shadows. Dozens of them watched Vera with alert, curious eyes. Every one of them seemed wrong for a natural wolf. They were too large, too intelligent, too aware. The truth struck Vera with sudden force. "You are not wolves," she whispered. "You are werewolves." The black wolf turned toward her. Then its body began to change. Bones cracked and rearranged. Fur withdrew into skin. The enormous creature contracted and transformed until a man stood before her. Vera stared in stunned silence. He was well over 6 feet tall, powerfully built, with dark hair falling to his shoulders. Bronze skin stretched over hard muscle and old scars. But his eyes held her attention. The same golden eyes now watched her from a devastatingly handsome human face, framed by high cheekbones and a strong jaw. He stood completely naked and appeared entirely unconcerned by it. "You are correct," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like thunder rolling across distant mountains. "We are werewolves, but we are not like you." Vera struggled to make sense of what she had witnessed. "Not like me? What does that mean?" "We belong to no recognized pack. We reject alpha politics and the traditional hierarchy. We are ferals." He spoke the word with pride. Wolves who abandoned the established system and chose to live freely. Ferals. Vera had heard stories about them as a child. Young pups were warned that feral werewolves surrendered completely to their animal instincts. They were described as violent, mindless creatures that had abandoned civilization. But the man before her was clearly in control. More than that, she thought she saw kindness in his eyes. "My name is Kieran," he continued. "I am the alpha of this pack. You are standing inside our territory. I am sorry. I did not mean to trespass." Vera stepped backward. "I will leave. I can go." "Easy, little Omega." Kieran lifted one hand in a calming gesture. "I am not threatening you. I am offering sanctuary." Vera froze. "What?" "I smelled your fear from miles away. Terror, desperation, and the scent of someone running from something she believed was worse than death." His gaze moved over her bruised cheek and wounded palms. "You come from a wealthy pack. I can tell that from your scent. Yet you ran. Why?" The question was gentle, but tears still rose in Vera's eyes. "They planned to sell me. My father accepted a mating arrangement to strengthen an alliance. I could not be used as a bargaining piece anymore." Kieran's expression darkened. "The pack system," he said with open disgust. "It turns people into property. That is why we abandoned it." Vera glanced around. Several wolves remained in animal form, while others shifted into men and women of different ages. They watched her with interest, but none appeared hostile. Kieran gestured toward them. Every wolf here was rejected by the traditional system. Some were called weak. Some were considered damaged. Others were too rebellious to be controlled. We were all unwanted. A sharp smile crossed his face. "Then we found one another and created something better." A lean, athletic woman approached. She had short silver hair and striking amber eyes. Like Kieran, she had recently shifted and wore nothing, yet carried herself with total confidence. "Another stray, Kieran?" Her voice was dry but not cruel. "This is Sage," Kieran said. "My second." Sage looked toward Vera. "And you are?" "Vera," she answered quietly. "Vera Ashwood." Sage's eyebrows rose. "Ashwood? The Northern Ashwood Pack?" Vera nodded, expecting immediate judgment. Instead, Sage laughed. "Oh, Richard must be losing his mind. one of his precious daughters running into the wilderness. She gave Vera a broad grin. I like you already. You know my father? I know of him. I originally belonged to the Riverside Pack. I left 3 years ago after my alpha attempted to force me into a mating with his brother. Sage spoke as casually as if discussing the weather. When the brother tried to claim me anyway, I killed him. I have lived feral ever since. Best decision I ever made. Vera stared. Sage had killed an alpha and survived. She had chosen freedom over submission and built another life. It seemed impossible. You are safe here, Kieran said, drawing Vera's attention back to him. No one will force you to do anything. No one will harm you. You may stay until you decide what you want next. I do not understand. Why would you help me? You know nothing about me. Kieran's expression softened. Because 14 years ago, I was you. He looked toward the surrounding forest. I was born an alpha in the Shadow Pine Pack. My father ordered me to challenge our alpha for dominance. He said leadership was my destiny and my birthright. Kieran's jaw tightened. But I did not want to kill another wolf merely to prove I was stronger. I refused. My father disowned me and said I was unworthy of the alpha designation. What did you do? I came to these mountains intending to die. Kieran looked at her again. Then I found wolves who did not fit the roles assigned to them. Together, we formed a pack based on choice instead of hierarchy, freedom instead of obligation. He gestured around the valley. We have lived here ever since. Whenever we find another wolf seeking shelter from the storm, we offer it. Vera's throat tightened. She had been taught that the hierarchy was sacred and natural. Alphas ruled, betas served, and omegas submitted. That was supposedly the order created by the moon goddess. Yet this pack had rejected that order. They looked stronger and happier than many wolves Vera had known. I cannot shift properly, Vera blurted. She did not know why she confessed it. Perhaps she needed them to understand her weakness before they invested kindness in her. I can transform, but my wolf is small, weak. I am an omega. You are valuable, Kieran interrupted. His tone was firm. Omegas are valuable, Vera, not as breeding stock or tools for alliances. Omega energy holds a pack together. It is the heart that keeps alphas from destroying one another in endless struggles for dominance. Sage nodded. We have 2 other omegas. Both chose to live here. Both are cherished. She smiled. You can meet them tomorrow. Tonight, you look ready to fall over. Only then did Vera realize how badly she was swaying. Exhaustion had begun to replace the adrenaline that had carried her through the night. Come, Kieran said. We will find you somewhere to sleep. He led her into the den. The interior was warm and carefully maintained. Animal furs covered the stone floors and insulated the walls. Smaller chambers branched from the main cavern, each serving as someone's private living area. Torches burned in iron brackets. Compared with the Ashwood Lodge, the den was primitive, but it felt comfortable. Lived in. Real. Kieran guided her to a small, unused chamber near the back. You can stay here as long as you wish. We do not own many human possessions because most of us prefer our wolf forms, but Sage can find clothing for you. He pointed toward the northern wall. There is a hot spring outside the valley, about 100 yards from the den, if you want to wash. Vera examined the small chamber. A thick pile of furs would serve as a bed. A shelf had been carved naturally into the rock. The room was sparse. Yet it was more than her birth pack had ever freely given her. Thank you, she whispered. I do not know how I can repay you. You do not repay kindness. Kieran's answer was simple. That is the first rule here. We care for one another because family is supposed to care. There are no debts attached. He stepped outside and pulled a leather curtain across the entrance to give her privacy. Vera remained standing for several seconds with the canvas bag still hanging from her shoulder. Then something inside her broke open. 17 years of fear, shame, and loneliness surged through her at once. Vera sank onto the furs and wept. They were not tears of despair, they were tears of relief. For the first time in her life, someone had looked at the broken, worthless Omega Vera believed herself to be, and told her she had value. They had told her she was safe, that she could belong, and Vera had believed them. She woke the next morning to sunlight passing through a crack in the stone wall. For a moment, she did not know where she was. The room smelled of earth and wilderness rather than polished wood and perfume. Then the memories returned. The festival, Aurora's slap, her father's arrangement, her escape, the wolves. Vera sat up, grimacing at the pain in her body. Her palms had begun to scab, her legs ached from running. Her cheek still throbbed, but she was alive, and she was free. Laughter and conversation echoed through the main cavern. Vera rose and looked past the leather curtain. The den was filled with activity. Some wolves wore roughly made clothing of leather, wool, and fur. Others walked through the den completely naked after shifting, apparently unconcerned by human modesty. A fire burned inside a central pit. Someone was cooking fish. Vera's stomach growled. "You are awake." Sage appeared beside her so suddenly that Vera jumped. The silver-haired woman now wore fitted leather trousers and a simple tunic. "Good. You look less like a terrified rabbit this morning. Come eat." Before Vera could answer, Sage took her arm and guided her into the cavern. Pack members looked up as they passed. Some nodded, others offered curious smiles. No one stared at the bruise on Vera's face. No one whispered about her Omega scent. They simply accepted that she was present. Sage brought her to a young man preparing fish near the fire. He had warm brown skin, gentle eyes, and dark hair tied in a bun. "This is River," Sage said. "He is one of our Omegas. River, this is Vera." River looked up and gave her a genuine smile. "Welcome. You must be hungry." He handed her cooked fish on a flat stone. "Thank you." River came from the eastern coastal pack, Sage explained while sitting beside the fire. He left when his alpha tried to mate him to a visiting dignitary without consent. "Not only tried," River corrected cheerfully. "The alpha completed the claiming ceremony. I waited until he fell asleep, broke both of his legs, and escaped." His pleasant expression never changed. "Kieran found me nearly dead from exhaustion 2 years ago." Vera stared at him. This kind-eyed Omega had crippled an alpha. River laughed. "Do not look so shocked. Omegas are not weak, Vera. We are merely taught to believe we are. Those are very different things." Before she could respond, someone called from the den's entrance. "Fresh meat." A group of wolves entered carrying a deer carcass. They were covered in dirt and blood, laughing with the exhilaration of a successful hunt. Kieran walked among them. He saw Vera across the cavern and inclined his head in greeting. Heat touched her cheeks. She quickly looked away. She had only just escaped one pack. She should not be experiencing the strange flutter that moved through her whenever Kieran looked at her. "He is unattached," Sage murmured. Vera nearly choked. "What?" Sage bumped her shoulder. "I am teasing, mostly, but Kieran is a good male, the best I have known. He would never use his power to take advantage of someone." Vera nodded, unable to think of an answer. The morning passed in a series of unfamiliar experiences. River showed her the hot spring. Sage found soft leather trousers and a warm wool tunic that fit her. An older beta woman named Frost taught Vera how to gut and clean fish. Everyone behaved as though Vera already belonged. It was frightening and wonderful. By midday, Vera sat alone on a rocky outcropping overlooking the valley. Sunlight warmed her face. Pine and wildflowers scented the breeze. For the first time in years, the tightness in her shoulders began to release. "May I join you?" Kieran climbed onto the rock with effortless balance. He had cleaned himself after the hunt and wore dark leather trousers with a loose shirt. His long hair remained damp. "This is your territory," Vera said. "I should ask your permission." "This is not about territory, it is about respect." Kieran sat beside her and looked across the valley. "How are you?" Vera considered giving him an easy answer. His golden eyes made honesty feel safer. I do not know. Part of me expects to wake up. Another part expects someone to reveal that this is a trick. It is not a trick. I understand that logically, but my entire life I was told that I had no value, that omegas were weak and needed to be controlled for their own protection. Here, everyone says the opposite. And you do not know which version to trust. Vera nodded. Trust your instincts, Kieran said. Your wolf understands the difference between being protected and being controlled. Vera closed her eyes and reached inward. Her wolf stirred, relaxed and content, in a way Vera had never known. Safe, the wolf whispered. This is safe. This is right. My pack will search for me, Vera said. My father will send trackers. Let him. Kieran's voice hardened. This valley is protected by magic older than the established packs. His trackers cannot find it unless we permit them to. You are beneath my protection now. He looked directly at her. No one removes a wolf from my pack against that wolf's will. The certainty in his voice warmed something inside her. This was protection without chains. Why are you truly doing this? She asked. You could have allowed me to pass through your territory. Kieran remained silent for a moment. Because I remember having nowhere to go. I remember being rejected by the people who were supposed to love me without conditions. He looked across the valley again. When I formed this pack, I swore I would never turn away a wolf seeking sanctuary. You needed sanctuary. I gave it to you. Nothing about that felt simple to Vera. Still, sitting beside the feral alpha who had offered safety without demanding payment, she felt something fragile take root inside her. Hope. Perhaps there was a life beyond the one into which she had been born. Perhaps she truly could be free. Chapter 4. Learning to be wild. The following days passed with unexpected ease. Vera entered the rhythm of the feral pack, as though some part of her had always known it. She woke with the sunrise, helped with daily responsibilities, and learned skills the Ashwood pack had deliberately denied her. After 1 week, her old life felt like a distant nightmare. You are gripping the bow too tightly, Sage said as she adjusted Vera's fingers. Archery depends on releasing, not clinging. They stood in a clearing 1/2 mile from the den. A rough target had been carved into a tree 50 feet away. Omegas do not fight in my old pack, Vera said. That is because your old pack was governed by fools. Breathe out. Release. Vera exhaled and let the arrow fly. It wobbled badly, but struck the tree several inches outside the target. Sage clapped her shoulder. Better. A week ago, you could not pull the string. Pride warmed Vera's chest. Hitting a tree should not have felt important, yet it proved she was capable of learning something her family had always declared beyond her reach. Again, Sage ordered. They continued until Vera's arms shook. She never complained. Every arrow carried away another piece of the helpless Omega she had been trained to become. When they returned to the den, River was showing several younger wolves how to identify medicinal plants. He waved Vera over. Perfect. I need someone to test a new salve. He lifted a clay jar filled with green paste. It reduces bruising and inflammation. The swelling on your face has nearly disappeared, but this should finish the work. Vera touched her cheek. The mark from Aurora's slap had faded to yellow at the edges, but it remained a visible reminder of her old life. River gently spread the salve over it. There, it should be gone tomorrow. Thank you. You did not have to do that. Yes, I did. River met her eyes. We care for our own. That includes you. Our own. The words settled over Vera like a warm blanket. A young beta boy spoke nervously. River, can Omegas really become healers? My former pack said they were only useful for breeding and appearing attractive. River smiled dryly. That is what many packs want you to believe. Omegas have always been natural healers and caregivers. We sense the pain of others, which can make us excellent at relieving it. He turned to the group. Every designation has natural tendencies. Alphas often become leaders and protectors. Betas tend to be stable and adaptable. Omegas are frequently empathetic and nurturing. But tendencies are not limits. River glanced at Vera. An alpha can heal. A beta can lead. An omega can become a warrior. Never allow anyone to decide what you cannot do because of the designation you were born with. The younger wolves listened carefully. Emotion tightened Vera's throat. This was what a pack should have been. A place that taught, protected, and empowered its members. Not a system built to control them. That evening, everyone gathered around the central fire for dinner. It quickly became Vera's favorite part of each day. There was no elevated table for alphas. No visible hierarchy separated the members. Kieran ate beside newcomers as comfortably as he spoke with Sage. "Tell us a story, Frost," one of the younger wolves called. Frost smiled. "Very well. I will tell you about the moon goddess and the first wolf." Vera listened as the older woman told a version of their creation story she had never heard. In Frost's tale, the moon goddess had not created hierarchy or rigid designations. She had made wolves wild, equal, and free. Humans had later corrupted that gift through their desire for control. "Is that version true?" Vera whispered to Sage. Sage shrugged. "The traditional system is so old that no one remembers what came before it. But Frost's story makes more sense to me. Turning a blessing into chains sounds exactly like something people would do." When the story ended, Kieran rose. "We have a major hunt tomorrow. The deer are moving south for winter, so this may be our final opportunity to build a strong supply before the cold arrives. I need volunteers." Hands lifted around the fire. Alphas, betas, and even River volunteered. Then Kieran looked at Vera. "You have trained with Sage all week. Are you ready to join your first pack hunt?" Everyone turned toward her. Vera's instinct urged her to make herself small and decline. In Ashwood territory, only alphas participated in serious hunts. Omegas remained behind, protected and useless. River's words returned to her. "Never allow anyone to decide what you cannot do because of your designation." Her wolf stirred eagerly. "Hunt. Run with pack." Vera raised her chin. "I am ready." Kieran smiled with unmistakable pride. "Good. We leave at dawn." Vera barely slept. Her wolf pressed excitedly beneath her skin, eager to transform. When morning arrived, Vera was already dressed. 12 wolves gathered outside the den, including Kieran, Sage, River, and several others she had come to know. "The rules are simple," Kieran said in the darkness before sunrise. "We move together. Our goal is to separate one deer and kill it quickly. We cause no unnecessary suffering. We take only what we need, and we honor the animal that feeds us." Everyone nodded. Shift. Transformation moved through the group. Bones cracked, bodies reshaped, fur spread across skin. Within moments, 12 wolves stood where people had gathered. Vera had never transformed in front of others. In the Ashwood pack, she hid whenever she shifted, ashamed of her small omega form. No one here watched her critically. They were preparing for the hunt. Vera released her control. Pain and exhilaration swept through her. Her bones shortened, muscles changed, and fur covered her body in honey, cream, and gold. Seconds later, she stood on 4 paws. Her wolf was small compared with the others, barely reaching Kieran's shoulder. But Vera felt powerful. She could sense the earth beneath her paws, the wind carrying hundreds of scents, and the welcoming presence of the pack. Kieran's black wolf approached and gently touched his nose to hers. Acceptance. Greeting. Then he lifted his head and howled. The pack answered. Their voices rose together and filled the mountains. For the first time, Vera joined the song. Her howl was softer and higher, but it blended into the harmony. This was the connection she had lacked all her life. Run. Kieran's mental voice touched her mind. Pack bonds allowed wolves to communicate during hunts, and the feral pack's connection was remarkably strong. Stay close. Trust yourself. The pack began moving. They flowed through the forest in perfect coordination. Vera remained in the center of the formation. She was guarded without being treated as helpless. Her size became an advantage. She could move beneath branches and between narrow trees that forced larger wolves to change direction. The scent of deer struck her senses. Fresh. Near. 8 deer, Sage reported through the bond. 200 yards ahead. We take the older buck. He is injured. The pack changed course. Soon Vera saw the herd grazing in a clearing. The buck at the rear favored one hind leg. Circle, Kieran commanded. Wait for my signal. We kill with honor. The wolves spread around the herd, remaining downwind. The deer sensed danger but could not locate it. Now, the pack surged. The herd scattered, but the wolves controlled the escape routes. Sage and another hunter separated the injured buck and directed it toward Kieran. Kieran leaped. His jaws closed around the buck's throat with deadly precision. The animal died quickly. Well done, Kieran told the pack. Then he looked at Vera. Approach. Vera moved toward the fallen buck. Kieran stood respectfully beside it. Place your paw on its shoulder. Thank it for feeding us. Vera rested one paw against the deer's warm body. Thank you for your sacrifice, she thought. We will not waste what you gave us. Kieran's approval passed through the bond like sunlight. Good, you understand. The journey back was triumphant. The wolves took turns carrying the deer. Vera gripped one leg and helped River pull. You did well, River told her. I spent my first hunt hiding behind Kieran. Really? Vera could not imagine River being afraid. Really? Omegas are not naturally fearless. We pretend until courage becomes real. His mental voice carried humor. You are learning faster than I did. At the den, the pack processed the deer together. Kieran taught Vera how to divide the meat for cooking and preservation. Nothing was discarded. The hide would become clothing. The bones would become tools. Even the organs were carefully used. This is respect, Kieran explained as they worked. His hands were blood-stained but gentle. Taking life to preserve our own is sometimes necessary. That means we must honor the sacrifice, use everything, and remain grateful. The Ashwood Alphas treated hunting as entertainment. They often killed for pleasure, and left bodies in the forest as symbols of dominance. You are thinking about your former pack, Kieran observed. Vera nodded. They taught me none of this. I was forbidden from hunting, tracking, butchering, or learning survival skills. They wanted me decorative and useless. You were never useless. Kieran's golden eyes sharpened. They kept you dependent because dependency makes people easier to control. The system takes natural qualities and turns them into weaknesses. It makes Omegas helpless so they will accept being owned. His anger on her behalf tightened Vera's chest. Is that why you left? In part. Kieran continued working. Mostly, I left because I refused to kill my closest friend to prove I deserved to be an alpha. Traditional packs demand constant challenges and constant violence. Good wolves die to satisfy pride. What happened to your friend? He became alpha of Shadowpine. We no longer speak. My departure was considered betrayal. Kieran looked at her. I hear he leads well, perhaps better than I would have. He wanted the position. I did not. He paused. Not every wolf fits the life assigned at birth. There is no shame in wanting something different. I always believed something was wrong with me because I did not want the future my family planned. I dreamed about running instead of accepting my duty. There is nothing wrong with wanting freedom. It is one of the most natural desires in the world. They worked beside each other until the deer had been fully processed. That night, the pack feasted. Vera ate until she was satisfied, surrounded by laughter, stories, and wolves who included her in every conversation. When the fire burned low and most of the pack retired, she remained near the embers with Kieran. He was carving a piece of antler. What are you making? A pendant for you. He showed her a small round piece engraved with a crescent moon. It is our custom. A wolf who completes a first successful hunt receives a token. You do not need to make one for me. I want to. Kieran threaded a leather cord through the pendant. May I? Vera nodded. He moved behind her, lifted her braid, and fastened the cord around her neck. His warm fingers brushed her skin, sending small sparks of awareness through her. The pendant rested below her collarbone. There, Kieran said softly. Now you are officially one of us. Tears rose in Vera's eyes. I do not know what to say. You do not have to say anything. Continue becoming who you were meant to be. That is enough. Vera touched the smooth antler. 1 week earlier, she had entered the wilderness believing she was broken and prepared to die. Now she was a hunter, a pack member, a person whose value existed beyond what she could give others. Kieran, thank you for seeing me when no one else did. His golden eyes held hers across the fire. I saw you from the moment you entered our territory. You were terrified, but you were still standing. His voice softened. You have always been strong, Vera. You only needed somewhere that allowed your strength to grow. Something passed between them. Connection. Recognition. Something deeper that Vera was not prepared to name. Her wolf stirred restlessly, drawn toward the alpha in ways that both frightened and thrilled her. Vera pushed the feeling aside. She had just escaped a forced mating. The last thing she needed was to become attached to another alpha, no matter how different he appeared. Still, when she settled into her chamber that night with the pendant resting near her heart, she smiled. For the first time in 17 years, Vera was happy, and she was beginning to understand how powerful happiness could be. Chapter 5. The Search Party. Vera woke to frightened voices and the sharp scent of fear. Something had happened. She rushed from her chamber and nearly collided with River. What is wrong? River's warm eyes were troubled. Scouts detected movement near the eastern border. A large search party. At least 20 wolves wearing ashwood colors. Vera's blood chilled. My father. It appears so. Kieran has called an emergency meeting. They hurried into the main cavern. The entire pack had gathered. Kieran stood at the center, his presence controlling the room even before he spoke. Sage waited beside him with 3 of the pack's best scouts, Ghost, Raven, and Talon. Report, Kieran ordered. Ghost, a lean woman with silver-streaked hair, stepped forward. 23 wolves. An alpha matching Richard Ashwood's description is leading them. They are using blood scent tracking magic. They must possess something carrying Vera's scent. Vera's stomach dropped. Her father could have taken clothing, bedding, or anything else from her room. Blood magic could use the item to follow her trail. How close? Kieran asked. Approximately 2 miles, perhaps less, but they cannot identify the valley's exact location. They keep circling as if they know she is nearby but cannot determine where. Ghost glanced at Vera. The wards are holding. They will not remain confused forever, Sage said. If they brought a shaman capable of breaking old magic, we have a serious problem. Kieran's jaw tightened. We need options. We fight, Storm suggested. The young alpha was always eager for confrontation. Our full pack outnumbers their search party. We drive them from the territory. Sage shook her head. Richard commands nearly 100 wolves and maintains alliances throughout the north. He could summon several packs. We would be destroyed. We could negotiate, River offered. Tell them Vera arrived willingly and is now protected here. You do not know my father, Vera said. He does not negotiate. He has never cared what I want. Fear and guilt twisted together inside her. This is because of me. I brought danger to your valley. I should leave with them before someone is injured. No. Kieran's voice cracked through the cavern. Absolutely not. He crossed the room and placed both hands on her shoulders. You belong to this pack now. We do not abandon our own. But, no. His golden eyes burned with determination. Listen carefully. You are not property. You are not an object used to settle alliances. You are a person with the right to choose. His grip remained steady. I will not allow your father, another pack, or anyone else to take that choice from you. Do you understand? Tears burned behind Vera's eyes. You could lose everything because of me. Then we will lose it while defending what is right. Kieran faced the assembled wolves. Anyone who disagrees may speak, but understand what surrendering Vera would mean. We would become identical to the system we rejected. We would become cowards who protect only the people who are convenient. Silence filled the cavern. Then Sage stepped forward. I stand with Vera. So do I, River said. Frost raised her voice. And I. One by one, every member declared support. Even Storm nodded. She is Pack. We do not surrender Pack. Something broke and rebuilt itself inside Vera. These wolves owed her nothing, yet they were willing to risk everything to keep her free. Her blood relatives had never offered a fraction of such loyalty. Thank you, she whispered. I do not deserve this. You do, Kieran said. Now we create a plan that does not involve surrender or open war. He turned to Ghost. How long before they attack the wards? Hours or days. It depends on whether they brought someone capable of sensing the magic. We must assume Richard came prepared. Kieran began pacing. Sage, reinforce the ward anchors. Take anyone with protective ability. Sage immediately selected several wolves. Ghost, Raven, and Talon. Maintain surveillance. Report reinforcements or attempts to damage the wards. The scouts nodded. Everyone else prepares for a siege. Gather food, secure the den, and identify protected areas for the young and injured. Kieran's voice remained steady. We do not panic. We do not provoke them. We also do not surrender. The pack answered together. When the meeting ended, Vera remained where she stood. This was truly happening. Her father had come for her. Vera, Kieran touched her arm. Come with me. He brought her to the rocky overlook where they had spoken days earlier. Sunrise painted the valley gold and pink. The peaceful beauty felt almost cruel beside the danger gathering beyond the wards. You are blaming yourself, Kieran said. Should I not? If I had accepted the arrangement and gone to Crescent Valley, none of you would be facing this. And you would be trapped, miserable, and slowly dying, while pretending to be grateful. He turned toward her. What your father did was wrong. What the traditional system does every day is wrong. It forces wolves into pairings, uses designation to determine value, and maintains control through fear. His voice softened. Running was the bravest act available to you. It feels selfish. Choosing survival is not selfish. Kieran looked across the valley. This confrontation was inevitable. Packs like ours represent everything established alphas fear: freedom, choice, and rejection of their authority. So I merely gave them an excuse. Perhaps you became the catalyst. You are not the cause. I have expected this for years. We have sheltered dozens of runaways. The traditional packs tolerated us only because we remained hidden. Vera looked down. I wish the line had not been drawn because of me. I do not. She looked at him in surprise. If it had not been you, it would have been another wolf, and I am glad I have the chance to fight for you specifically. His golden eyes held hers. You deserve to be fought for. The words made her chest ache. What happens if they enter the valley? We face them together. Kieran's expression became serious. But I need your promise. No matter how dangerous this becomes, you will not surrender yourself to protect us. Kieran, if you leave with them because they threaten the people you care about, you teach them that threats work. It will never end. The people she cared about. Her heart stumbled. Promise me you will not give up. Vera remembered her grandmother's voice. You are special. Never forget that. She had once believed it was only a loving lie. Maybe her grandmother had recognized something Vera had not yet seen. She was not broken. She had been raised inside a system designed to convince her that she was. I promise, Vera said. I will not surrender. Kieran smiled. Good, now help Sage. Omega energy can be extraordinarily powerful in protective magic. The next hours were filled with work. Sage showed Vera how to connect her energy to the valley's wards. At each anchor, an ancient stone covered in carved symbols, Vera placed both palms against the surface. Imagine wrapping the entire valley in a blanket, Sage instructed. Do not focus on attacking the intruders. Focus on protecting everyone inside. Vera reached for the Omega instincts she had spent years suppressing. The desire to nurture, to guard, to preserve. She poured that energy into the stone. Warmth spread beneath her hands. The carved symbols began glowing gold. Yes, Sage said with astonishment. You are a natural. The ward is strengthening. They moved through the valley, repeating the process at each anchor. By the time they finished, Vera was exhausted, but the entire valley felt wrapped in layers of concealment and safety. That should keep the trackers circling for days, Sage said. Fate allowed them only a few hours. Ghost appeared shortly before sunset. We have a problem. Kieran stopped organizing the supplies. What happened? Richard brought a shaman from the Mountain Ridge pack. She has started a breaking ritual. Kieran became very still. How long do the wards have? With Vera's reinforcement, perhaps 2 or 3 days. Ghost hesitated. But the shaman is using ancient blood magic. She is not only trying to destroy the wards, she is attempting to compel Vera to walk toward them. The color left Vera's face. Compel me? Blood magic can use family connections, River explained as he approached with a basket of herbs. Your father shares your blood. If the shaman is powerful enough, she can turn that bond into a command you may be unable to resist. Can we stop it? Kieran demanded. Possibly, if the blood bond is severed first. River looked apologetically toward Vera. It is difficult and painful. You would have to reject your birth pack through ritual. The separation would be permanent. Vera thought about her father, who considered her a stain. Her mother, who never protected her. Aurora, who took pleasure in humiliating her. How is it done? Think carefully, Kieran warned. This is not merely symbolic. After severance, you can never return to the Ashwood pack. In their eyes, you will be dead. I was already an outcast. They simply allowed me to sleep beneath their roof. Vera raised her chin. I do not want to remain connected to people who treated me as property. Tell me what I must do. Kieran and River exchanged a look. River finally nodded. We complete the ritual tonight before the compulsion becomes stronger. The entire pack must witness it. Under the moonlight, the pack gathered in the main cavern. A circle of white ash had been drawn on the stone floor. River prepared a bowl of smoking herbs whose bitter scent filled the chamber. Vera stood in the center. Her heart pounded. Kieran remained beside her as support rather than alpha. River stood at the edge holding an ancient knife. The ritual is binding, he explained. Vera will formally reject the Ashwood pack and offer blood to seal the separation. Once complete, she will stand as a lone wolf until another pack freely accepts her. How will I join another pack? Kieran's voice was quiet. I will guide you through that part. Trust me. River began chanting in the ancient language used before modern pack structures existed. The sound moved around Vera like water. Something stirred inside her blood. For the first time, she sensed the connection tying her to the Ashwood pack. It was thin and damaged, yet still present. Repeat the words, River instructed. I, Vera Ashwood, reject the pack of my birth. I sever every bond of blood and obligation. I leave those who never valued me. By my will and beneath the moon's witness, I am free. Vera drew a breath. This was the point beyond which she could never return. I, Vera Ashwood, reject the pack of my birth. Her voice echoed through the cavern. I sever every bond of blood and obligation. I leave those who never valued me. By my will and beneath the moon's witness, I am free. The connection pulled tight, fighting her rejection. Pain tore through her chest. Vera gasped but remained standing. River offered her the knife. Blood, freely given, will seal the severance. Vera drew the blade across her palm. Blood flowed. She held her hand over the smoking herbs and allowed several drops to fall. The instant her blood touched the mixture, light exploded throughout the cavern. The bond snapped. Vera screamed. The connection to her father, mother, Aurora, and every Ashwood wolf tore away, as though part of her soul had been ripped free. It hurt beyond the limits of physical pain. Then suddenly, it ended. Vera felt light, untethered, free from the expectations and disappointments she had carried since birth. "It is finished," River said gently. "You no longer belong to the Ashwood pack." Vera swayed. Kieran caught her and held her upright. Now the second part. He faced the assembled wolves and allowed Alpha authority to fill his voice. "Vera has severed every bond to her birth pack. She stands before us without a pack and seeks sanctuary." He looked down at her. "As Alpha, I offer her a choice. She may join us as a full member with equal rights, protection, and responsibility." His golden eyes softened. "Vera, will you join because you choose us? Not because you have nowhere else to go?" Despite her exhaustion and pain, Vera smiled. This was the choice she had unknowingly been seeking since the night she escaped. "Yes, I choose this pack. I choose all of you." Kieran bit his palm and pressed the bleeding wound against hers. Their blood mingled. A new bond formed. Unlike the Ashwood connection, it was warm and welcoming. A bond created by choice. "By blood and will, beneath the moon and before these witnesses, I name you Pack," Kieran declared. Vera, without a surname, member of the feral pack. His voice carried through the cavern. "Welcome home." The pack answered with triumphant howls. Their voices traveled through the den and into the night. The meaning was unmistakable. "She belongs to us now. We protect our own." Tears streamed down Vera's face. For once they came from joy. Kieran pulled her into his arms as the new pack bond settled around her heart. Whatever her father attempted next, Vera would face it with her chosen family. She would never return. Chapter 6. The Confrontation. The severance ritual succeeded. It also revealed their location. Vera woke the following morning to furious shouting outside the den. Her head throbbed from the ritual. The cut on her hand still ached despite River's salve. She hurried toward the valley entrance. The entire pack had gathered there. Kieran stood at the front with his arms crossed, his face hard and unreadable. Beyond the invisible boundary of the wards stood Alpha Richard Ashwood. Rage radiated from him. His steel-gray eyes burned, and his enormous body trembled with restrained violence. 23 Ashwood wolves waited behind him in fighting formation. Beside Richard stood a withered old woman. Her eyes were clouded white, and ritual scars covered her twisted hands. The shaman. "I know you are inside, Vera." Richard's voice carried across the valley, unnaturally amplified. "I can smell your cowardice. Come out and answer for what you have done." Vera's knees weakened. The blood bond had been severed, but years of conditioning remained. His alpha command made her want to obey, apologize, and lower herself before him. Kieran found her hand. The new pack bond pulsed with calm reassurance. "You owe him nothing. You are safe. I am here. Do not answer," Kieran murmured. "He wants a reaction." "How did they come this close?" Sage demanded. "The wards should have kept them miles away." The old shaman smiled, revealing blackened teeth. "Blood calls to blood, alpha of strays." The girl's severance ritual shone through the mountains like a beacon. "We followed the signature of the magic." Her voice was rough with age. "She may run from her pack, but she cannot escape what she is." "Her name is Vera," Kieran called. His alpha authority made several Ashwood wolves flinch. "She chose to sever your bond legally and ritually. She belongs to my pack now. You hold no claim over her." Richard laughed harshly. "You speak of law while sheltering fugitives and rejects? You are a collection of failures pretending to be a pack." "You are trespassing on neutral land," Sage shouted. "You possess no authority here. This land lies within 50 miles of the Ashwood Lodge. Richard answered. My family claimed it by conquest and inheritance. These mountains belong to me. His gaze fixed on Vera. And you are preventing my daughter from fulfilling her obligations. I am not your daughter anymore. The words escaped Vera before she could restrain them. She stepped forward despite Kieran's hand on her arm. I severed the bond. I rejected the Ashwood pack. I no longer carry your name. Richard found her across the boundary. The hatred in his eyes made her recoil. You are an embarrassment. Do you understand what you cost us? Damon Blackthorne withdrew his courtship offer. He said our family lacked honor and control. Richard's voice rose. You destroyed Aurora's future because of your selfishness. My selfishness? Anger replaced Vera's fear. You planned to sell me to a stranger. You expected me to accept a mating with a man I had never met because it benefited your alliance. How is refusing that selfish? Because sacrifice is the duty of an Omega. Richard's roar shook the valley. Omegas serve the pack. They place the greater good above themselves. But you have always been defective, just like your grandmother. She filled your mind with poisonous ideas about freedom and choice. Something broke inside Vera. Do not speak about her. She was worth 10 of you. She was a fool who died alone after rejecting her mate bond. You will end the same way, packless, mateless, and worthless. Richard's smile was cruel. Is that truly the future you want? It is better than being your property. Tears streamed down Vera's face, but her voice did not weaken. If I die, I will die free. I will die as myself, not as an alpha's breeding animal or political tool. Richard lunged at the barrier. His impact made the air crack and shimmer. The wards held, barely. Magic strained beneath the force of his alpha presence. They will fall soon, the shaman said, almost pleasantly. I weakened them throughout the night. The severance ritual damaged them further. She smiled at Kieran. Perhaps 1 hour, perhaps 2. Then what will you do, alpha of strays? Fight an alpha with greater experience and a force 3 times your own? If necessary, Kieran replied calmly. Every member of my pack would prefer death in battle to watching one of our own be dragged into slavery. Slavery? Richard laughed. Is that the story she told you? Poor Vera, suffering in a warm room beneath the protection of the Ashwood name? He looked around the valley with contempt. She discarded privilege to live inside a cave with failures. She chose people who value her, Kieran answered. You call her old life privilege. I call it imprisonment. You know nothing about my family. I know you harmed her. Kieran's voice dropped into something deadly. I know Aurora struck her before a crowded hall while you watched. I know you locked Vera inside her room and planned to transport her at dawn without allowing her to say farewell. Kieran moved to the ward line. I know you taught her she was worthless every day of her life. His golden eyes burned. Do not lecture me about family, Alpha Ashwood. Where Vera is concerned, you never deserved that title. Silence followed. Richard's face went pale with fury. Beneath the anger, Vera saw surprise. He appeared genuinely incapable of understanding that his treatment of her might have been wrong. These ferals corrupted you, Richard finally told Vera. They fill your mind with lies about equality and freedom. The hierarchy exists for a reason. Without it, we become animals. We are not animals, River called as he stepped beside Kieran. We are free. An Ashwood wolf sneered. An Omega standing beside an Alpha without permission. In a real pack, you would be punished. In a real pack, Omegas would not require permission to stand anywhere, River replied. We are people, not possessions. Several Ashwood wolves shifted uneasily. Some of the younger ones exchanged uncertain looks. Richard noticed. Enough, shaman. Destroy the wards. The old woman raised both hands and began chanting. The air groaned. Reality seemed to bend around the valley. Prepare yourselves, Sage shouted. Kieran faced his pack. Defensive positions. Protect the young and injured. No one attacks unless they cross the boundary. The pack transformed and moved into position. Warriors gathered at the front. Vulnerable members retreated toward the den. Vera attempted to remain with the fighters. Kieran, I need to help. This began because of me. You have trained for 1 week. You are not ready for a full battle. He looked toward River. Go with him. Protect the den. I can fight. I cannot lead while worrying that you will die. The desperation in his eyes stopped her. Help River. That is how you help me. Vera knew he was right. She allowed River to pull her backward. The shaman's chanting reached its peak. The ward screamed. The sound was like metal being torn apart. Cracks appeared in the invisible barrier, spreading in every direction. Then the wards shattered. Released magic exploded across the valley and knocked several wolves from their feet. The protective energy Vera had helped create vanished. Richard smiled. There, now we settle this. He looked at Vera. You have 1 opportunity. Come willingly, and I may show mercy to these animals. Refuse, and I challenge their alpha for dominance. After I defeat him, I take you anyway and burn this valley. Do not listen, Sage warned. But Vera knew her father was not bluffing. Claws extended from his hands. He was preparing for a traditional dominance challenge, a fight ending in submission or death. If Kieran lost, he would die or be forced to acknowledge Richard's authority. The feral pack would become part of Ashwood territory. Because of her. Kieran, Richard called, allowing Alpha Command to strengthen his voice. Do you formally accept this Omega as part of your pack? Do you assume responsibility for her actions and debts? It was a trap. If Kieran answered yes, traditional law made him responsible for Vera's broken mating contract and the collapsed alliance. If he answered no, her position within his pack could be challenged. Kieran's jaw tightened. I accept Vera as part of my pack. I am responsible for protecting her. She owes you nothing. Then you accept her debt. I accept that she is a person who acted by choice. Yes or no? Richard demanded. Do you assume responsibility for an Omega who broke a formal mating contract? Pack law demands compensation or combat. Both groups fell silent. Richard had forced Kieran into an impossible choice. Vera could barely breathe. Her escape had endangered everyone she loved. Kieran straightened. His golden eyes showed determination and grim acceptance. I choose. I will take responsibility. The new voice came from behind Richard's wolves. A tall, lean man stepped forward. Dark hair framed severe features, and ice-blue eyes fixed directly on Vera. Damon Blackthorne had arrived. This Omega interests me, Damon continued. I will assume Crescent Valley's contract and satisfy the debt, provided she willingly comes with me. Richard's expression moved from surprise to calculation. Damon, I did not know you were coming. I was not invited. Damon never looked away from Vera. But I have followed the situation. An Omega willing to run from a forced mating is unusual. A cold smile touched his mouth. Perhaps valuable. He finally looked at Richard. I will pay a bride price large enough to compensate for the failed alliance. If necessary, I will challenge the feral alpha for custody. Damon faced Kieran. Unless you prefer to avoid bloodshed and surrender her. Kieran's expression became murderous. She is not mine to surrender. Vera makes her own decisions. How enlightened, Damon replied. Yet pack law defines her as an Omega who violated a contract. I am offering a legal solution. He turned toward Vera. Come with me willingly. Become my mate. I will give you protection, wealth, status, and every luxury. You would become Luna of the most powerful pack in the north. He gestured dismissively toward the valley. All you must do is choose me over this. Vera's mind spun. Damon Blackthorne was the alpha every young she-wolf desired. He offered everything an Ashwood daughter had been taught to want. It was still a cage. A beautiful, powerful cage. She would remain property, valued for her designation and usefulness to an alliance. No. Her voice trembled, but the answer was clear. I refuse. Damon's eyebrows lifted. You refuse me? I understand your offer. I do not want it. Vera raised her chin. I am not for sale. Not to you, not to my father, and not to anyone else. I will remain with the pack that values me for who I am. Damon's expression hardened. Then you are a fool. You have condemned this pack because I attempted to solve the problem peacefully. He turned toward Kieran. I, Damon Blackthorn, Alpha of the Blackthorn Pack, formally challenge you for dominance and custody of Vera. His command filled the valley. Refuse and accept the name of coward. Accept and die. Silence descended. Vera's heart stopped. Kieran looked at her. His eyes held apology, determination, and something deeper that made her chest ache. I accept, he said quietly. For Vera's freedom and her right to choose, I accept. Chapter 7. The Challenge. Ash and salt formed the challenge circle. Ancient symbols marked the boundary of neutral ground where alphas fought for dominance. Once inside, neither pack could interfere. There would be no allies and no outside assistance. Only two alphas and the oldest law of survival. Kieran removed his shirt. His scarred body was lean and powerful. Damon was broader and physically larger, carrying the kind of dominance that forced weaker alphas to lower their heads. The challenge looked like a death sentence disguised as honor. Kieran, do not do this. Vera caught his arm before he entered the circle. I will go with Damon. I will accept anything he wants. Please. No. Kieran cupped her face and forced her to meet his gaze. If I allow you to sacrifice yourself now, everything you fought for disappears. Fear would erase your freedom and your choice. You could die. Then I will die defending something that matters. His thumb wiped away a tear. You matter, Vera. Your right to choose matters. I would rather die proving that than live after allowing someone to take you. That is not fair. If you die, it will be my fault. If I die, it will be because the system is broken, and wolves like Damon and your father choose to defend it. Kieran's eyes sharpened. Stop taking responsibility for other people's cruelty. Your father chose to hunt you. Damon chose to challenge me. Those are their decisions. His voice softened. Your decision was to be free. That is never wrong. Kieran pressed a brief, tender kiss to her forehead. Then he stepped away. River pushed through the crowd carrying a clay jar. Take this first. It is a stimulant paste. Apply it to your pressure points. It will sharpen your reflexes and reduce pain. That is cheating, an Ashwood wolf protested. It is herbal medicine, not magic, River replied. Challenge law permits it. Damon smiled. Give him whatever he wants. It will make no difference. Kieran rubbed the paste against his temples, wrists, and neck. Vera smelled wolfsbane blended with unfamiliar herbs. Her wolf whimpered. The old shaman entered the space between the packs. The rules are simple. Fight until death or submission. No weapons except tooth and claw. No outside magic. She looked at Kieran. The victor gains legal authority over the contested Omega. The defeated Alpha's pack submits to the winner. Do you understand? Vera's stomach dropped. If Kieran lost, Sage, River, Frost, Storm, and every other feral wolf would lose their freedom. I understand, Kieran answered. The shaman looked at Damon. And you? Perfectly. Sage stepped forward. Challenge law allows an alpha to name a champion. Let me fight in your place. No. Kieran's alpha command forced even Sage to flinch. This is my challenge and my pack to protect. Then use your wolf form, she pleaded. That is where you are strongest. He will not, Damon said. He knows I am stronger in wolf form. His only hope is remaining human and relying on technique. Damon began removing his clothing. But I have no intention of offering that advantage. His body transformed. Bones cracked and muscles rearranged with violent speed. A massive wolf replaced him. Damon's shifted form was easily twice the size of a natural wolf. Black fur streaked with silver covered his body, and his ice-blue eyes glowed with predatory intelligence. He was beautiful and terrifying. Kieran looked at the enormous creature. Well, he muttered. That is unfortunate. Then he shifted. Vera had seen his black wolf before, but never prepared for combat. Alpha energy radiated from him so strongly that the air seemed to tremble. His golden eyes burned like molten metal. Kieran was smaller than Damon. He was also faster and more controlled, built from shadow and precision. The shaman raised one hand. Begin. Damon attacked immediately. He crossed the circle in a blur of black and silver. Kieran moved aside, but Damon's claws tore across his shoulder. Blood darkened his fur. Both packs erupted in shouts, but the wolves inside the circle heard only each other. Damon pressed forward, using his size to drive Kieran toward the boundary. Kieran slipped beneath the larger wolf and bit into Damon's exposed throat. Blood flowed. Damon jerked backward with a sharp cry. The wound was deep but not fatal. He is faster, River said beside Vera. Kieran can win. Vera watched Damon's eyes. There was no uncontrolled anger in them. He was studying Kieran, adjusting. The next exchange was brutal. Damon stopped relying only on strength and began matching Kieran's speed. They became a storm of claws, teeth, and black fur. Kieran landed several strikes by moving beneath Damon's guard, but every blow Damon delivered caused terrible damage. A sweep of Damon's paw sent Kieran tumbling. Vera heard ribs crack. Kieran struggled upright, favoring his left side. Blood covered his fur. His golden eyes remained fierce. Get up, Vera whispered. Please. Damon circled. He knew he had gained the advantage. Submit, his posture demanded. End this. Kieran lunged for his throat. Damon anticipated the attack. He redirected Kieran's momentum and threw him into the ground hard enough to fracture the stone. Kieran did not immediately move. Kieran! Sage screamed. Damon approached slowly. He was wounded but still steady. He placed one enormous paw on Kieran's chest. Submission. Victory. For one terrible second, Vera believed the fight was over. Kieran's ribs were damaged. One eye had swollen nearly closed. Then his golden gaze found Vera. Something changed. Kieran's jaws closed around the paw holding him down. He bit with every fragment of strength he possessed. Bone and tendon broke beneath his teeth. Damon howled and pulled backward. Kieran surged upward. He shifted in the middle of his leap, a dangerous maneuver that left him defenseless for a fraction of a second. His human hands closed around Damon's throat. I do not submit, Kieran snarled. Blood streamed down his face. Not to you, not for her, never. His thumbs pressed into Damon's windpipe. Damon thrashed. Both crashed to the ground. Damon shifted into human form, gasping for air. You are insane. Probably. Kieran held on. But I will not surrender. They fought as men, exchanging punches and holds. Kieran had superior technique. Damon possessed greater strength and endurance. Every advantage was immediately reversed. The fight continued. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Both alphas bled from dozens of wounds. Submit! Damon roared as he drove Kieran into the ground. I will allow you to live. Go to hell. Kieran spat blood and smiled through broken teeth. If you want my pack and Vera, you will need to kill me. Even then, I will haunt you. Frustration twisted Damon's face. You are discarding your life for an Omega you met 1 week ago. Why? Because she deserves better. Kieran's voice was exhausted but certain. Every wolf deserves the freedom to choose. The system is broken. Someone must oppose it, even if the fight is hopeless. He coughed blood. And because I love her, the world stopped. Vera's heart stuttered. Damon stared at him. You love her? Apparently. Kieran gave a weak smile. Not my most intelligent decision. Damon remained silent. Then he stepped backward. What are you doing? Richard shouted. Finish him! Damon ignored him. He looked at Vera. Really looked at her. Something softened in his ice-blue eyes. You refused me without hesitation. No one has ever rejected me. I could not understand why. His gaze shifted toward Kieran. Now I see. You had already chosen. Vera could not speak. She nodded. A real smile touched Damon's face. Then I was a fool to believe I could take you from that. He raised his voice. I submit. The challenge is finished. Kieran wins. Chaos erupted. You cannot submit, Richard roared. You were winning. I am an alpha. I may do whatever I choose. Damon shifted back to human form and walked from the circle, bleeding but dignified. The challenge concerned Vera's custody. I no longer want it. He glanced at Kieran. She belongs beside someone who loves her, not someone who views her as a valuable acquisition. Damon stopped near Vera. For what it is worth, I regret what happened during the festival. Your father asked me to court Aurora, but I could never complete the arrangement. His mouth curved slightly. She is beautiful but empty. You are something else entirely. Damon's expression became almost respectful. You are the kind of wolf who begins revolutions. Do not lose that. He walked away and disappeared into the forest. Richard stared after him. This is unacceptable. The challenge was not completed. He submitted, the shaman said. The victor is decided. Kieran retains his legal protection over Vera. The debt is satisfied. She faced Richard. Your claim is void. I am her father. You were her father. She severed your bond and rejected the pack. The challenge ended in her favor. The shaman smiled. Go home, Richard Ashwood. You have lost. For a moment, Vera thought her father would attack regardless of the law. His body shook with rage. Then a younger beta spoke from behind him. Alpha, we should leave. This is not worth beginning a war. Not worth it? Richard turned on him. She is my blood. She is a person who chose to leave, a she-wolf said quietly. We all heard how you spoke to her. We saw why she ran. Several Ashwood wolves lowered their eyes. Richard's expression moved through anger, betrayal, and something close to shame. Then it hardened. Fine, keep her. He locked eyes with Vera. Keep the defective Omega who brought disgrace to my pack. But understand this, Vera. You are dead to me, and dead to every Ashwood wolf. His voice turned cold. If you enter our territory again, you will be treated as a rogue and killed. You made your choice. Live with it. Richard turned and stalked away. His wolves followed. Some looked back at Vera with pity. Others with curiosity. A few appeared envious. When they disappeared into the trees, silence settled over the valley. Her father was gone. Damon had submitted. Kieran had won. Kieran. Vera turned. He had collapsed near the circle. Sage and River were already attempting to stabilize him. Blood and bruises covered his face. His breathing was shallow. Vera ran to him and fell to her knees. Do not die. Do not dare die after saying something like that without allowing me to answer. His golden eyes opened slightly. Did we win? You won, you absolute fool. Vera cradled his face, sobbing. You nearly died, but you won. Good. His bloodied smile was genuine. Worth it. You said you loved me. I know. Terrible timing. He coughed and grimaced. But it is true. I love you, Vera. I think I have loved you since you entered our territory, terrified but refusing to fall. You called me brave. You are the bravest wolf I have ever known. I was desperate. Sometimes there is little difference. Kieran found her hand. Did you mean what you said about choosing this pack? Every word. Vera pressed her forehead against his. I choose this family. I choose freedom. And I choose you. Even when I am bleeding and probably have several broken ribs? Especially then, someone must take care of you. River is the healer. River can manage your injuries. I will manage everything else. Vera kissed him carefully. The kiss tasted of blood, salt, and survival. Now be quiet and let them save you. Kieran closed his eyes with a faint smile. Yes, ma'am. Chapter 8. Healing and Truth. For 3 days, Kieran moved between consciousness and fevered delirium. River worked without rest. The injuries were severe: 4 cracked ribs, a broken left arm, internal bleeding, and countless deep cuts that needed stitching. Without modern medicine, River depended on remedies passed down through generations of Omega healers. Vera refused to leave Kieran's side. She held his hand, wiped sweat from his face, and calmed him when memories of the fight disturbed his sleep. During bandage changes, Kieran gripped her fingers hard enough to make the bones ache. "You need rest," Sage said on the second day. She stood in the doorway carrying broth. "You have barely slept since the challenge. Kieran will kill me if he wakes and discovers you collapsed from exhaustion. I am fine." "You are surviving on fear and guilt." Sage placed the bowl beside her and crouched. "What happened was not your fault. He nearly died because of me. He nearly died because he made a choice to defend something important." Sage's gaze remained kind but firm. Kieran waited his entire life for a cause he believed deserved everything. Do not diminish his decision by turning it into your guilt. Vera looked at Kieran's bruised face. "What if he regrets what he said?" "He will not." Sage smiled. "That male has been falling in love with you since your first night here. Everyone noticed except the two of you. He barely knows me. He knows your courage, compassion, and strength. Those are the important parts. The rest can be learned." Sage stood. "Eat, sleep. He will need you healthy when he wakes." Vera obeyed reluctantly. She fell asleep while holding Kieran's hand. Her dreams were filled with golden eyes, blood-stained ash, and her father declaring her dead. Beneath the nightmares, the new pack bond hummed like a lullaby. When Vera woke, Kieran was watching her. His eyes were clear. A faint smile touched his mouth. "You snore." Vera sat up so quickly that her stool nearly overturned. "You are awake. How do you feel? Are you in pain? Should I call River?" "I am sore, but alive." "How long?" 3 days. Vera touched his face, needing proof that he was truly conscious. "You frightened everyone. You frightened me." "I am sorry." Kieran turned and kissed her palm. "I would do it again. Please do not. My heart cannot survive another challenge." Vera tried to withdraw her hand. Kieran held it. "I meant what I said." His expression became serious. "I was not delirious. I did not speak because of the battle. I love you." Vera stopped breathing. Hearing the confession while he was fully conscious was far more overwhelming. "You do not need to answer immediately," Kieran continued. "I understand that everything happened quickly. I only needed you to know why I fought." His fingers tightened around hers. "It was not merely principle, it was you." "Why me?" The question emerged as a whisper. "I am damaged. I carry more pain than anyone should be expected to accept." "You are not damaged, you are healing." Kieran struggled upright. Vera adjusted the furs behind him. "Every member of this pack carries scars. We do not run from them. We help one another carry them." He looked into her eyes. "I began falling for you when you stood in this valley surrounded by wolves and refused to surrender to your fear. I could smell your terror, but you still demanded to know why we were helping." His thumb traced small circles over her hand. "Then you stayed. You learned to hunt and defend yourself. You challenged every belief your family forced upon you." Kieran smiled. "You chose to become someone new. How could I not love that?" Tears moved down Vera's cheeks. "I do not know how to do this. No one has ever loved me." "I know." His voice remained gentle. "I am not asking for anything you are not ready to give. If you need time, take it. If you only want friendship, I will accept it. If you want to discover what this could become, I will remain here." He held her gaze. No pressure, no obligation, only honesty. Vera thought about the previous weeks. Kieran had never demanded anything. He had never made her feel small. He had risked his life and the freedom of his pack to defend her right to choose. "I am afraid," she admitted. "I am afraid to trust someone with my heart after everyone I trusted used it against me." "That fear is reasonable. I cannot promise I will never hurt you. People sometimes hurt those they love. His expression sharpened with sincerity. But I promise I will never do it deliberately. I will never use your love as a weapon, or make you feel less than you are. Vera looked at the alpha who had rejected the system that created him. The man who built a family from society's discarded wolves. The man who had nearly died for her freedom. She realized she was falling in love with him too. Perhaps she had been falling since the moment his golden eyes found her in the forest. I think I love you, Vera whispered. I am not entirely certain because I do not know what love should feel like. She drew an unsteady breath. But I feel safe when I look at you. During the fight, it felt as though my heart was being torn apart. Now that you are awake, I can breathe again. She gave him a trembling smile. If that is love, then I love you. Kieran's battered face brightened. That is definitely love. What happens now? Now we move slowly. We learn about each other. You continue healing. We build something strong instead of desperate. He paused. Unless you prefer desperate, I can adapt. Vera laughed. The sound felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Slow is better. Then slow it will be. Kieran gently pulled her closer. Vera climbed onto the bed carefully, avoiding his injuries. He wrapped his unbroken arm around her. She rested against his shoulder. This is nice. This is perfect, Kieran corrected. River eventually entered. He looked at them curled together and smiled knowingly. I suppose physical closeness may be therapeutic, but Kieran requires actual food, not Vera's affection. He lifted a bowl. Bone broth and venison, can you eat? I will try if Vera feeds me. My arm is broken. Your right arm is broken. You are left-handed. Am I? I cannot remember. You are unbearable when in love. River's eyes danced with amusement. Fine, Vera may feed the helpless alpha. Tomorrow, physical therapy begins, and it will be far less pleasant. Kieran healed quickly over the next several days. His werewolf body, River's skill, and Vera's constant care gradually restored him. Soon he could walk through the den, though he tired easily and his ribs still hurt. The pack celebrated his recovery. Frost prepared his favorite meals. Storm strengthened patrols. Ghost reported that the Ashwood search party had returned to its territory. 5 days after the challenge, Sage addressed the pack. The danger has passed. The Ashwood wolves show no sign of returning. We may return to ordinary life. Cheers and howls filled the den. Someone opened fermented berry wine, saved for a special occasion. Music began. Storm pulled Vera into a lively dance. Despite his aggressive personality, he moved surprisingly well. River claimed her for the next song. Frost insisted on teaching an old dance from her grandmother's pack. Vera was laughing and breathless when Kieran approached. May I? He offered his uninjured hand. You should be resting. I have rested for days. I deserve one dance with my... He stopped. With you. Vera raised an eyebrow. With your what? I nearly said mate. We have not discussed it, and I did not want to presume. Her heart skipped. You want me as your mate? Eventually, only if you want the same. There is no pressure. We can wait as long as... Vera kissed him. This kiss was deeper and more certain than the first. When she drew back, Kieran looked stunned. Yes, she said. Eventually, when we are both ready, I want that. His smile shone. Kieran pulled her closer and swayed with the music. You constantly surprise me. Good. I would hate to become predictable. They danced until River ordered Kieran back to bed, before he reopened his wounds. As Vera helped him walk, she felt lighter than she had ever felt. This was her life, her choice, her freedom. Later, after the celebration ended, Vera stood near the entrance and stared into the darkness. She could not see Ashwood territory, but she knew the lodge remained somewhere beyond the mountains. Regrets? Sage appeared beside her. No, I am only trying to understand how quickly everything changed. 1 month ago, I was locked inside a tiny room, waiting to be sold. Now I am here, free, loved, part of a real family. It is real, Sage said. You earned it. She studied the darkness. Your father may return one day, perhaps not soon. Perhaps years from now, men like Richard remember humiliation. I know, part of me will always expect him to appear. Vera's voice strengthened. But I cannot live in fear. Fear is only another cage. Wise. Sage smiled. I am glad you came. You are good for Kieran. You are good for all of us. You remind us why we continue fighting. What are we fighting for? The right to live on our own terms, to love by choice, to become ourselves without requesting permission. Sage's amber eyes shone beneath the moon. That freedom is worth everything. And I proved it by leaving a comfortable lodge to live in a cave. Vera laughed. It sounds insane when you say it aloud. The best decisions often do. They remained together in silence. Two women who had chosen freedom over security, chosen community over blood, chosen truth over comfortable lies. Thank you, Vera said, for accepting me, for teaching me, for becoming my friend. That is what pack means, Sage answered. We always protect our own. As Vera returned through the den, she passed sleeping wolves gathered together for warmth. Peace rested on their faces. Belonging settled inside her chest. She was home. Whatever challenges remained, she would face them with wolves who loved her, and a man who saw her as a person rather than an asset. That freedom made every risk worthwhile. Chapter 9. The Revelation. Winter descended on the mountains like a predator. Silent, brutal, absolute. 2 months passed after the challenge. Snow and ice transformed the valley into a crystalline world. The pack survived on stored food and group hunts whenever the weather permitted. Inside the den, wolves slept close together for warmth, strengthening their bond through shared hardship. Vera had never been happier. She developed a place in the pack that belonged to her alone, not merely as Kieran's future mate. She assisted River with healing and learned which herbs treated different illnesses. She trained daily with Sage until her arrows struck targets Storm struggled to hit. She organized supplies with Frost and ensured nothing was wasted. At night, she slept beside Kieran beneath thick furs, protected by his arms and their growing love. One night, Vera woke with a sudden sense of wrongness. Her wolf stirred uneasily. Kieran slept beside her, his breathing deep and even. The den seemed unnaturally quiet. Vera slipped from the bed without waking him. Kieran had led several difficult hunting expeditions and needed rest. She walked barefoot through the den, following the unease within her omega senses. The central fire burned low. Wolves slept in their chambers. The entrance appeared secure. Still, something felt wrong. Unable to sleep, Vera jumped. Ghost stood in the shadows beside the entrance, her silver-streaked hair catching the firelight. She had been assigned to night watch. I felt restless. Is everything safe? Ghost's expression troubled her. That depends on how you define safe. Come with me. You need to see something. They climbed to the highest point overlooking the mountains. The nearly full moon painted the snow silver and blue. Ghost pointed east. There. Vera narrowed her eyes. Then her blood chilled. Smoke. Dozens of thin trails rose against the night sky from the direction of Ashwood territory. Campfires, Ghost said. They appeared 3 nights ago. The locations change each evening, but they move closer. My father? Possibly. Or something worse. Ghost handed Vera a small leather pouch. I found this at our eastern border yesterday. Sage did not want to alarm you or Kieran until we knew more. Vera opened it. Inside lay a lock of honey blonde hair, a strip of fabric from her Harvest Moon dress, and a piece of parchment written in dark red ink. The Council of Alphas has declared the feral pack unlawful and in violation of territorial sovereignty. Kieran of no recognized pack and his followers have 30 days to disband or face collective enforcement. The Omega Vera must be returned to her lawful guardian for proper placement. This decision is not negotiable. 7 Alphas had signed the order. Her father's signature was among them. The Council of Alphas governed every recognized pack in the Northern Territories. It rarely interfered in individual disputes. When it acted, its ruling carried the force of absolute law. They intend to destroy us, Vera whispered. They are using me as justification. That is what it appears to be. Ghost looked toward the smoke. Your father probably convinced them that our existence threatens the entire hierarchy. To be honest, it does. Every runaway we shelter weakens their authority. This is my fault. Vera felt sick. I must return. If I surrender, perhaps they will leave everyone else alone. You know that will not happen. Ghost's eyes were sympathetic. They do not truly care about recovering you. They want an example. They want every potential runaway to see what follows rejection. She shook her head. If you return, they will still destroy this pack. You will simply become their prisoner again. Then what can we do? We fight. Kieran's voice came from behind them. He climbed onto the outcropping, his expression grim. He must have awakened and followed Vera. We fight or we leave. 7 packs, Ghost said. More than 500 wolves against 73. We cannot win. Then we evacuate. We cross beyond Council territory and begin again. The Council claims the entire North, Ghost reminded him. We would need to enter rogue land in the south. There is no central protection there, only constant territorial conflict. At least we remain alive, Kieran said. And free. Would we remain free? Vera looked at the distant fires. How long before they find us again? How long before another authority decides our choices threaten them? We cannot spend our lives running. Kieran's jaw tightened. Vera saw him search for an answer that did not involve surrender, death, or endless flight. There may be another option, Ghost said. You will not like it. Tell us. We appeal directly to the Council and request a formal hearing. Kieran immediately shook his head. We would walk into a building filled with alphas who already decided to destroy us. Pack law requires them to hear a formal challenge to an enforcement order. If one Council alpha supports us, the ruling must be reconsidered. Ghost continued before Kieran could interrupt. It also buys time. Hearings take weeks to organize, and they cannot attack while the appeal remains active. Vera looked at the parchment. Her father had signed it. Aurora was probably celebrating. Her mother was likely relieved that the family's embarrassment would finally disappear. Then Vera thought about River's gentle healing hands, Sage's fierce loyalty, Frost's wisdom, Storm's aggression hiding old insecurity, 73 wolves who had chosen freedom and built a family. They deserved more than being hunted like animals. I will testify, Vera said. I will tell the Council what the system does to Omegas. They may not care, Kieran said gently. Those alphas benefit from the system. One painful story will not automatically change them. Perhaps not, but we must try. We cannot run or die in silence. Vera took his hand. You taught me that defending what is right matters even when victory appears impossible. Kieran closed his eyes. I hate that you learned that lesson. So do I. But the world did not give us another one. Vera looked at Ghost. How do we request the hearing? I will send a message at dawn. They usually meet at the new moon, 3 weeks from now. Ghost hesitated. You must understand what they will do. Council hearings are designed to break witnesses. They will question every word and turn every weakness against you. She held Vera's gaze. They will try to convince you that you deserved what happened. I can endure it. Can you? Kieran asked. His expression was filled with pain. I will stand beside you while they attack you, and the law will prevent me from intervening. Vera cupped his face. Then do not interfere. Trust that I am strong enough. Be there to catch me afterward. That is how you protect me. Kieran pulled her into his arms. I love you, and I am terrified of what they may do. I love you too. I am terrified of what they will do if we remain silent. They held each other beneath the freezing wind and the impossible future. The emergency pack meeting began before dawn. Kieran explained the council's order while Vera stood beside him. The parchment lay open for everyone to examine. Fear, resignation, and determination moved through the gathered wolves. "We should attack first," Storm declared. "Use small groups and destroy their leadership before the packs unite." "That would prove every accusation," Sage said. "They would call us violent rogues deserving extermination." "They will call us that regardless," an older beta argued. "They have never considered us people." "Then we show them," River said. His quiet voice cut through the shouting. "We attend the hearing and tell our stories. Every wolf here came because the system failed them. We are not criminals, we are refugees." "You believe stories will erase centuries of law?" "No," River admitted. "But silence guarantees nothing will change. Speaking gives us a chance." The debate continued deep into the night. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to escape. Others supported the hearing. Finally, the pack voted. 35 chose the council appeal. 28 chose evacuation. 10 favored a preemptive attack. The hearing won. Ghost sent a runner at sunrise. 3 days later, a raven arrived carrying a sealed scroll. The Council of Alphas accepts the Feral Pack's request for a formal hearing. Proceedings will begin on the new moon at the Grand Lodge in neutral territory. Alpha Kieran and the Omega Vera are required to appear. Failure to attend will be interpreted as admission of guilt and will authorize immediate enforcement. They had 3 weeks. Vera devoted every waking moment to preparation. She wrote and revised her testimony. She practiced speaking before the pack until she could control her voice even when her hands trembled. Frost taught her pack law and legal precedent. Every night, Vera slept beside Kieran and memorized the safety of his presence in case it was taken from her. "What if they order our execution?" she asked one night. "Then we die knowing we attempted to change something." Kieran's answer was honest. "Perhaps our deaths will inspire another Omega decades from now. Perhaps she will hear about the pack that challenged the council and find courage." That is not comforting. No, but it is true. Change is rarely safe. Vera remembered her grandmother. "You are special." Perhaps her grandmother had not meant that Vera possessed some hidden superiority. Perhaps she had meant that Vera might one day receive the chance to speak against injustice. The night before their departure, the pack held a ceremony. Every wolf shared the story of leaving a birth pack and finding a home in the valley. When Vera's turn came, she stood inside the circle of firelight. "A few months ago, I believed I was broken. I had been told that I was defective and burdensome since birth." She looked at the wolves surrounding her. "Then I found all of you. You taught me that value is not determined by designation or usefulness. You showed me that I possess the right to choose my path." Her voice strengthened. "Tomorrow, Kieran and I will face the council. I do not know whether we will win." Vera smiled through tears. "But standing here among wolves who chose one another, I have already gained the only victory they can never remove." She lifted her chin. "I am free." The pack answered with howls of defiance. Their song traveled through the valley. Let the council hear them. The wolves it wanted to silence had found their voices. Chapter 10. The Trial of Freedom. The Grand Lodge stood as a monument to pack tradition. Built from massive timber and ancient stone, it had been constructed centuries earlier by the first Alpha Council to establish law across the Northern Territories. Neutral ground surrounded it. No single pack ruled there. Inside, 7 alphas would decide whether the feral pack deserved to exist. Vera and Kieran arrived at dawn with Sage, River, and Ghost as witnesses. The rest of the pack remained in the valley, prepared to evacuate if the ruling turned against them. "Remain calm," Sage warned as they approached the entrance. "They will provoke you. They want anger they can present as instability." Vera nodded. Her heart struck painfully against her ribs. She wore leather trousers and a plain wool tunic. She had refused formal clothing. She had not come to impress the council. She had come to tell the truth. Kieran squeezed her hand. Whatever happens, we face it together. Together. The towering doors opened. The great hall had vaulted ceilings and walls covered with carvings depicting werewolf history. 7 thrones stood on a raised platform at the far end. The Council of Alphas waited upon them. Richard occupied the 3rd throne from the left. His gray eyes followed Vera with cold calculation. Alpha Garrett of Crescent Valley sat nearby, the man whose scarred son had been promised Vera. The remaining council members were known by reputation. Alpha Helena of Riverside, famous for rigid traditional beliefs. Alpha Thomas of Mountain Ridge, an elderly leader whose pack was among the oldest. Alpha Dominic of Shadowpine, Kieran's father, the man who had disowned him. Alpha Catherine of Silverwood, a severe woman known for unforgiving judgment. At the center sat High Alpha Marcus, elected leader of the council. Marcus appeared to be in his 70s, with white hair and ancient eyes that had watched generations rise and disappear. His power dwarfed even the other alphas. Vera felt Kieran stiffen. "Approach," Marcus commanded. They moved through the hall beneath the eyes of dozens of pack representatives seated in the gallery. Vera saw Aurora among the Ashwood wolves. Her expression was satisfied and cruel. Their mother sat beside her, carefully hiding any emotion. Vera and Kieran stopped before the council. "Kieran, formerly of the Shadowpine Pack," Marcus began. "You are charged with sheltering fugitives, undermining lawful pack authority, and establishing an illegal pack inside claimed territory." His gaze sharpened. "How do you answer?" "Not guilty on every charge," Kieran said. Murmurs passed through the gallery. Marcus looked at Vera. "Vera, formerly of the Ashwood Pack, you are charged with violating a formal mating arrangement, abandoning your obligations, and rejecting the natural order established by the Moon Goddess." He leaned forward. "How do you answer?" "Not guilty. Choosing freedom is not a crime." Richard's face darkened. Marcus remained unreadable. "This council has reviewed the charges and evidence. Pack law allows you to present testimony and call witnesses." He turned to Kieran. "You may begin." Kieran stepped forward. "I do not stand here as a criminal. I stand as a wolf who recognized injustice and acted." His voice carried across the hall. 14 years ago, I left Shadowpine because I refused to kill my closest friend in a dominance challenge. Kieran looked toward Dominic. "My father called me weak and unworthy. I entered the mountains expecting death. Dominic would not meet his eyes. Instead, I found other wolves the pack system had rejected. Together, we created a family." "So you admit sheltering fugitives," Helena interrupted. "I admit offering sanctuary to wolves their packs abused or abandoned." Kieran's voice remained controlled. "We stole no one. Every member came willingly after being forced into unwanted matings, punished for being different, or harmed by those with power." "The hierarchy preserves order," Thomas said. "Without it, wolves become rogues. Chaos follows." "My pack has lived peacefully for 14 years," Kieran answered. "Alphas, betas, and omegas share responsibilities without coercion." Richard leaned forward. "Every runaway you accept weakens established packs. Your existence encourages wolves to abandon duty. You are a disease." "Duty?" Kieran's voice became dangerous. "You call forcing your own daughter to mate a stranger duty?" "She is an omega," Richard replied. "Strategic mating is an omega's purpose. That is the will of the Moon Goddess. The Moon Goddess created wolves to be free." Vera's voice cut through the argument. Everyone looked at her. "My grandmother taught me that, and I am prepared to testify." Marcus studied her. "Speak." Vera stepped forward. Her heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "I was born into a pack that treated designation as destiny. From my first breath, I was considered inferior." She looked toward the gallery. "My father called me defective, My sister kept me close, so her beauty and strength would appear greater beside me. My mother looked at me with disappointment. Aurora appeared bored. Catherine looked uncomfortable. Richard's expression remained furious. After my first heat, my father arranged my mating to a stranger from Crescent Valley. I had never met him. I was told to feel grateful because serving an alliance was my purpose. Vera continued. I could not accept a lifetime as someone's unwanted possession, so I ran. Her voice grew stronger. Yes, I violated a contract, but I never agreed to that contract. It was created by men who treated me as property. You were protected and provided for, Garrett interrupted. You abandoned privilege because of childish ideas about freedom. A comfortable cage remains a cage. Vera met his eyes. I would rather struggle freely than prosper in captivity. Poetic, Helena said. But the pack system has provided security for centuries. What you call captivity, we call civilization. Is this civilization? River stepped forward. I was claimed against my will. When I resisted, I was starved, isolated, and beaten until I submitted. His gentle voice carried across the silent hall. Was that civilization, or slavery protected by tradition? For a moment, doubt crossed Helena's face. Sage moved forward. I killed an alpha who attempted to force a mating bond. It was self-defense, but my pack ordered my execution because they believed I should have submitted. Her amber eyes burned. I have lived without fear for 3 years in Kieran's Valley. That is not chaos, it is safety. Ghost testified next. She had been exiled after being declared sterile and therefore useless. Storm told the council how his alpha father beat him for expressing emotions instead of aggression. One witness followed another. Each story exposed another wound created by the system. The gallery grew silent. Several representatives appeared deeply disturbed. High Alpha Marcus raised his hand. We have heard enough. These experiences are concerning, but personal suffering does not justify rebellion against the law. His voice remained heavy with authority. The system may contain flaws. It is still the structure preserving our society. Then repair it, Vera said. Desperation entered her voice. Make forced mating illegal. Give Omegas the right to refuse. Allow wolves to escape abusive packs without being declared rogues. She faced the council. You have the power to change the system. Use it. You presume to instruct us? Richard asked coldly. I am asking for basic dignity. Vera looked directly at him. Is that truly too much? The council members spoke quietly among themselves. Vera waited with Kieran's hand around hers. Finally, Marcus addressed the hall. Although your circumstances were unfortunate, they do not justify establishing an illegal pack. Vera's world began collapsing. Kieran, you are ordered to disband immediately. Your wolves will return to their original packs or seek lawful placement. Marcus looked at Vera. You will return to your father's custody. No. The word rang through the hall. Alpha Dominic stood from his throne. No, he repeated. I cannot support this ruling. Shocked voices filled the gallery. We already voted, Richard hissed. I am changing my vote. Dominic looked at Kieran for the first time. 14 years ago, I called my son weak because he refused to kill his friend. I told him he had disgraced the Alpha name. His voice cracked. I was wrong. Kieran remained motionless. He possessed a strength I did not understand. He walked away from power because his conscience demanded it. Then he built something better from the lives we discarded. Dominic turned toward the council. I watched his pack survive without tyranny. I watched him accept wolves all of us failed. He drew a breath. We are not preserving order. We are enforcing conformity through suffering. Dominic looked at Marcus. I withdraw my support for enforcement. I propose legal recognition for Kieran's pack and immediate reform protecting Omegas from forced mating. Silence filled the hall. You understand the scale of what you propose? Marcus asked. Centuries of precedent built upon pain should not be protected simply because it is old. Dominic gestured toward Vera and the witnesses. We can do better. Loyalty should be freely given, not extracted through fear. This is madness, Helena said. If wolves may leave whenever they are unhappy, perhaps we should examine why so many are unhappy. A new voice came from the gallery. Damon Blackthorne stood. I do not sit on this council, but I lead the strongest pack in the Northern Territories. I support Dominic's proposal. Richard glared at him. You have no standing. I nearly killed a decent alpha to claim an omega who did not want me. Damon's expression was cold. I withdrew because I recognized that I had become part of the problem. He faced the council. Perhaps the rest of you should make the same admission. More voices rose. Young alphas, betas, even several omegas. The fractures the council tried to ignore were spreading through the hall. Marcus raised his hand. This council will recess for 1 hour. The 7 alphas left. Vera's legs weakened. Kieran caught her. Did that truly happen? I think we may have begun something, he whispered. The waiting hour was agony. Dominic briefly entered the side chamber, where the feral wolves waited. Son, I know I have no right to request forgiveness. You are correct. Kieran's voice remained hard. But thank you for finally speaking. Dominic nodded and left. A messenger eventually called them back. The 7 alphas had returned to their thrones. High Alpha Marcus addressed the hall. After deliberation, the council has reached a final decision. Vera could not breathe. By a vote of 4-3, the feral pack will receive provisional recognition as an independent pack. Its legal status will be reviewed annually. Vera's heart stopped. Furthermore, the council recognizes the necessity of reform. Marcus's voice carried through the hall. Effective immediately. Forced mating is illegal. Every omega must freely consent to a pair bond. Refusal may not be punished. He continued. Wolves seeking escape from abusive packs may petition for transfer without being classified as rogues. Marcus looked directly at Vera. These reforms exist because of your testimony and because council members were willing to confront our failures. His ancient eyes remained grave. You have changed pack law. I hope you are prepared for the consequences. The hall erupted. Some wolves cheered. Others shouted in outrage. Richard rose and stormed from the chamber, his face purple with fury. Aurora followed and cast Vera a look of pure hatred. Vera no longer cared. She turned toward Kieran. He stared at the council in disbelief. We won, she whispered. Kieran, we won. His golden eyes met hers. A smile slowly spread across his face. We won. They fell into each other's arms. Sage, River, and Ghost joined them. They laughed and cried together. Against impossible odds, they had challenged the system and survived, not only for themselves, for every wolf who would come after them. Epilogue. 6 months later, the valley was no longer the same. Wolves arrived throughout the winter, runaways, refugees, and others who heard about the pack that had challenged the council. The den expanded. New chambers were carved into the mountain. More than 100 wolves now lived within the valley, drawn by the promise of dignity, freedom, and choice. At the center stood Vera and Kieran. They were officially mated, and their bond was recognized by the reformed pack law. Their ceremony took place on the first day of spring, surrounded by their chosen family. Several unexpected guests attended. Dominic came with wolves from Shadowpine who wished to understand Kieran's way of living. Damon sent a large stag for the feast and a short note. Congratulations, you earned this. Several younger Ashwood wolves also came. Richard, Catherine, and Aurora remained absent. Vera did not grieve their absence. She had created a family that chose her every day. Alpha Kieran! A young wolf ran toward them. The scouts found someone near the border, a beta from the Eastern Pack. His alpha tried to force him into warrior training, but he wants to become a healer. The young wolf caught his breath. Can we accept him? Kieran looked at Vera. She smiled. Of course. Bring him to River. River is always searching for another apprentice. The messenger ran away. Kieran wrapped his arms around Vera from behind and rested his chin on her shoulder. At this rate, we will run out of space. Then we will build more dens. Perhaps one day we will create new packs in other territories. Vera leaned against him. Wolves are realizing they possess choices. We did this. You did this, Kieran corrected. You were brave enough to run. Everything else began there. Vera remembered the terrified girl who fled into the mountains expecting death. That girl had believed she was broken. She had been convinced that she possessed no value. Now Vera stood as an alpha's mate, a pack leader, and one of the wolves responsible for changing the law. She had learned that her worth was not determined by designation or usefulness. She had learned that sometimes the bravest possible act was choosing herself. What are you thinking? Kieran asked. My grandmother. She always told me I was special. For years I believed she was only trying to comfort me. Vera turned in his arms. Perhaps she knew what I could become if I found the courage to try. She would be proud. I hope she is watching. I hope she knows her words mattered. They helped save me. Kieran kissed her. The kiss was gentle, warm, and filled with promise. I love you, Vera, my fierce, brave, revolutionary mate. I love you too, my golden-eyed protector who taught me what pack truly means. Around them, wolves continued their daily lives. They hunted, healed, taught, learned. They built something better than the world they had left behind. The future would not always be easy. Alphas like Richard would continue clinging to the old system. There would be resistance, danger, doubt, and setbacks. But the feral wolves would meet every challenge together. As a pack, as a family, as wolves who had chosen freedom over fear. And together, they would be impossible to break.